Right, how we doing, Heather? Let's get your end of week review in. Let's see how the squats are looking. Yeah, I mean, still just looking a little rushed. No real bracing at the top. It's just kind of up, down, up, down. I know it is light. It's just looking a little rushed at the moment, okay? And just when you're getting into that bottom position, just as you're settling down into the squat, it's that kind of little shunt forward that we talked about last week. So actual bar path and stuff like that. I mean, like in terms of the actual lift that you are doing, it's pretty solid. It's a little forward onto the toes. So I'll have a look at the next slide that you've got. Can we just see what's going on with the knee angle, because that's going to be the important one, really. I think flats is definitely the way to go, because even at this lighter weight, even if the weight's shifting forward there, the last thing we want is that weight to be shifting forward at a heavier weight. In general, yeah, it looks pretty good. It's just still a little too rushed. I know it's only RPE 6, but this still looks a little undercut, to be honest. Okay. Yeah, good. I mean, so what I think I'm going to do now is I'm just going to have a little bit of a tweak of the program as far as the squats go, and put some tempo work in there for you. Just force you to slow it down a bit, relax, and really control the movement and feel it through, okay? Because I know you know how to squat. But like I said, at the moment, it just looks like there's a little bit of just almost like a rush to get it over and done with. Yeah, it's generally pretty good. It just still looks a little undercooked. To me, to be honest, it still looks a little too light. Even at that 90. Yeah, I'm going to put some tempo work in there for you with the real emphasis of basically trying to get you to turn your knees out as much as you can, because I know if in danger, you're always going to shove your weight forward, and you're always going to be able to kind of get out of jail with that. But we want to try and get as much of the hip kind of structure getting into work as possible. You squat very similar to how I do, very high bar, very kind of narrow, shove everything forward and rely on quads to get out of there. Which is fine. It's just as a lifter in the weight class that you're in, there's a limit to obviously how far we can kind of push that, because we can't put any more muscle on. Yeah, better attempt at a flat bench. So let's have a look. Okay, so this is looking a bit closer to the prescribed RPE. So let's just have a look at that. Okay. I mean, really, it's not flat bench, but it's a lot better. It's putting you in a safe position. If that's where you're most comfortable, getting the shoulders down and back, that's fine for me. What I want you to think about doing is even at this lighter weight, and even though we're enforcing kind of the flat bench kind of side of it, this is the perfect time now to really start focusing on things like leg drive and stuff that can kind of get lost along the way when you start getting a little heavier. So, leg drive, what we're looking for. You've done a push press before, okay, so like a standing overhead press, all right? Whenever you do a standing overhead press, the movement starts at the feet, or starts at the knees, shall we say, okay, the bend of the knees, okay, but in terms of actual force generation, okay, it starts from the floor, goes up into the body, and then bang, you can get through and lock it out through there, alright? So, I want you to think about doing the same thing when you're doing your bench press, okay, so think of it as kind of like a lying push press, alright? All the force starts from the toes, okay? Pushing your toes to the end of your shoes as if you're on a leg extension machine, okay? So imagine there's a bar running along here, you know, like the pad on a leg extension machine, okay? And you're trying to do the biggest leg extension that you could possibly do, okay? Almost push yourself way off the bench. All right, what that's going to do is build up some tension in the quads, because I can see a little bit built up there. It's just kind of there, really, they're quite relaxed as the movement goes on. So what I want you to think about doing as the bar comes down, toes towards the end of the shoes, okay, so even as you're bringing the bar down to you, you want to be kind of like preloading the quads, okay, tense everything up, okay, push your toes into the floor, little toe, big toe, drill into the floor from there, okay, and then from there, like I said, I want you to think about the movement starting from here, starting from that, push the toes into the end of the shoes, do your leg extension, that force transfers up and goes away into the barbell itself, okay? It's just one of those, I feel like it'd be better for us to kind of practice that now, while the weight's lighter, so that when it does get heavier, it's not something you're having to consciously think about quite so much, alright? Yeah, so like in this one, you can see the quads wanting to do some work, but they're not actually driving back towards the bar. Wrist wraps look better, and again RPE, yeah, looks about right. Yeah, pretty good. Pretty good. Yeah, I mean we've got your angles pretty solid there. Everything stacked up. Knees stacked up on top of the toes quite nicely. A little wide on this left foot, but not too bad. And I think you've done the right thing, is you haven't over exaggerated how bolt upright you've got to be, okay? Just got a lot of people at the moment trying to kind of be over upright, and it's actually affecting them. They're tipping their weight too far back and they really struggle to actually get the thing moving. I don't know what the next video is, but we'll see if we can get a video from the side. Yeah, so a little bit of just kind of like the shoulders being rounded over a tiny bit. Okay, so when you're in that bottom position, flex your triceps on both arms as hard as you can before you pull, all right? Then think about pulling the bar as hard as you possibly can without it moving. Then the hips can drop down and push through, okay? Taking that slack out of the bar, super, super important. Okay, yeah, a little bit of kind of like hip wobble, and see if we got a... She's done it. She's already done one from the side. Good. Yeah. Shoulders, scapula, right over the bar. Very nicely done. Yeah, so as you got a little tired there, your torso is down a little more, wanting the lower back to do some work. Yeah, so you get tired with these, but generally in the first couple of reps and stuff, very solid. Yeah, very happy. It's not upper back. Yeah, I mean, your back wasn't rounding. Nah, not an issue. Not an issue with those at all. So going forward, you filled everything out exactly as we want it to. So now we're just going to go into this second week of just kind of like information gathering. All right. RPE bumped up a little bit. I feel like you undercooked the squats on those. All right, deadlift and bench, yeah, I think you're in the right kind of ballpark. Squats were definitely undercooked a little bit. Okay, so we'll kind of see if we can get a slightly better sort of shot at it this week, and then I can start building up some sort of like custom RPE tables for you, so you've got a better idea of what approximately should be a 6 and approximately should be a 7 for a certain number of reps and stuff like that. So fill everything out as it has been. In terms of layout, pretty much identical. Again, it's just for me just to be able to absorb kind of what you're doing and how things are moving, but in general there's not a huge amount to need to tidy up. So it's just kind of the squat I'm going to change to one of these to some tempo work, and then the bench, fine, but think about that lying push press kind of analogy. Okay, so the movement starts from the toes, you drive in, and that pushes the weight back up to the top. Deadlifts, nothing to worry about just yet. All right, any issues, let me know.